I wanted to do a video on creating when you don't have time, when you only have a 15-20 minute coffee break or a gap between commitments, between Zoom calls or between work and family or whatever it is. And ordinarily you might think, I don't have the time to bother opening up Ableton and getting into something, because as soon as I start getting into it, I'm going to have to shut it down again. So this is a technique that you can just copy step by step, and it will allow you to create new things from whatever source material that you put into it. I've used it for bass lines, for beats. I've used it to flip samples in ways that I wouldn't normally think of doing. It's a really powerful technique, and it kind of utilizes the happy accident side of things, where sometimes when you're creating things and something unexpected occurs, it can give you a boost. You know, it can feel like the universe is helping you along or whatever. And this technique utilizes that whole area. As you can see from the intro, it's been raining here for a long time. Everything's wet and cold and damp and grey. And it's not a time when you really feel inspired to do anything. So I think techniques like this are really important, because you can get over the line of coming up with something good quickly, but almost as though all the pressure isn't on you. I'm going to do a series of videos on motivation and getting things done when you don't feel like it, alongside these videos of getting things done when you don't have much time, when you only have those little 15-20 minute breaks. So subscribe and come back for those videos if you feel like that will help you. And if you do create anything from the technique that I'm about to show you, leave a comment below and share a link to the track or whatever. I would love to hear it, and I'm sure anybody else who's watched this or who learns this technique would be interested to see it too. I think it's a source of endless inspiration for me. So follow it step by step, choose whatever source material you want and see what you can come up with. The first thing that we want to do is, when we open Ableton, make sure we have a MIDI track ready to go. Go to Instruments, and we're going to go and grab Simpler. Just drag it and drop it onto the MIDI track. So here is where we're going to drop our source material. But before we do that, we're going to set up the track so that it's ready to start playing slices from whatever we put in here. So the next thing we're going to need is a MIDI effect and the arpeggiator. We're going to drop that in here. Now we're going to change a couple of the settings on this. We're going to change the style to random other, and we're going to change the steps to 8. And that's it. Now, when this receives MIDI notes, it's going to spit out, no matter what it receives, it's going to constantly spit out random notes. And when we slice our source material, that means it's going to play a different slice randomly throughout for as long as we're playing. So what we're going to do is we're going to record what it spits out onto an audio track, and then we can select the best bits and use them for our track. So I thought the easiest example today would be to do a bass line. And to do a bass line, I want to grab something melodic and simple. So for this example, I'm not going to use a full sample from a record, but you could do that. You could just put a sample in here and it will flip the sample in ways that you wouldn't have imagined or expected or done yourself. But you'll see what I mean when we just use something straightforward and simple, like a piece of melodic content. So I thought the easiest thing to do is to use something that everyone can get. And if you go to ableton.com, they have lots of packs to download. Some are paid for and some are free. But if we go and grab a free one, like the core library, and we go in here, they have samples and they have loops. So if we go into something tonal, synth sound. Yeah, okay. So we're going to use this Velo Rezo Plux because it sounds to me that it will suit a bass line because it's percussive notes that are all different to each other. So let's drag and drop this into Simpler. And we want to hit, well, before we hit slice, you can see these big gaps. I don't want silence being played. So let's go to a section where there's a lot of notes close together and drag the start arrow up to here and the end arrow up to here. And now this is the only material that will be played. by our MIDI notes. So let's hit slice. Now this sensitivity, it's automatically set to 100% and it's going to slice by transient. So every time it hears Ableton hears a transient or a piece of audio, it's going to drop a slice, drop a warp marker and create a slice. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 slices in this. If we drop that sensitivity down, it'll get less and less until there's none. But that's just being how sensitive Ableton is at noticing transients. So it's default 100. But when we are playing with our loop a bit later, dropping this sensitivity will change the slices that are being played. So that's just something to note for yourself for later. But right now we're going to leave it as it is, 100%. And there's 13 slices. So we're going to go up here and create a MIDI clip with 13 notes. And the first one is at C1 because that's where the simpler begins to receive notes. That's just a default. So the first note it plays, it will always hear is a C1. That's the lowest note that it will receive. Anything down here, it's not going to trigger anything. This will be the first note that it triggers. And we're going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so it's 13 notes from C1 to C sharp 2. I think that's 13. It could be more. It doesn't matter. Command A, and then let's drag them out to the full length of the clip. And now that's all the notes, one for each slice in our simpler, and playing all of the time. And what that means is that the arpeggiator is going to constantly be receiving MIDI notes, and it's going to constantly spit out random notes, and it will trigger different sections of this audio, source audio. So let's hit play and see what happens. Just to give you an example of what it should sound like, let's grab the Rezo clip out here and go to the section that I sort of isolated, which is this bit. And this is what it's sort of supposed to sound like. Okay, it's interesting or whatever, but now we've turned it into a so it's now playing in time with the track. It's triggering. If we put in a drum beat, you'll hear how it's working. Let's get rid of the other MIDI track and let's grab an audio drum beat. Any kind of drums, doesn't matter. I'm going to grab this is acoustic drums that I've been using recently. So this is an actual drummer playing a drum kit. Put it in here, warp and loop. And now let's hear, and we can mess around with the sensitivity now and see if we get interesting things happening. Now, that's working really well, but I'm just generating stuff. I'm not actually recording anything. So in order for me to record what I'm doing, I'm going to make a new audio track, and I'm going to get the audio in from track 1. If we do resampling, it'll record the drums and the thing, and I don't want that. I just want to record whatever's interesting that's coming out of this thing. And I said at the start I was going to make a bass line, I think. Did I say that? So to make this a bass line, I'm going to drop I'm going to transpose it down minus 24. So that's 2 whole octaves down from what we're listening to. So it'll just sound lower in pitch, and it'll sound more like a bass line. And now we're recording from this first track. So if I hit record here, I'm now going to record whatever's coming out of this, and then I can select a bit that I like as I mess with the sensitivity and come out with something good, hopefully. Let's try. Okay, so I've recorded a bunch of that here. Let's stop everything. Go in here. And now let's play through this and see if there's something. Okay, I actually quite like that bit at the very end. So if I start here and I go up here to the loop and I make it 2 bars instead of 4, it's got that gap in it that I quite like. So let's hear what this sounds like with the drums. So look, you can go through that. You can create loads of material and then go through it and pick out really excellent bits and use them as bass lines going forward in new tracks. You can also change the pitch, transpose it up to make more melodic lines. This will work with drum loops. This will work with whole sections of a song. Anything you put in here is going to get randomly sliced up and made into new stuff, generate new ideas and new material. So I hope you enjoyed that. Follow the step by step, and then once it's up to you to just drop whatever source material you want in here. And then depending on whether you slice by transient or slice by beat or whatever, and depending on the sensitivity, depends on how many slices you have, and experiment with that, and you'll come up with new stuff all of the time. Even from one piece of audio, you can actually create bass lines, melodies, beats, absolutely everything from the one piece, just by messing with all this, the different settings, as I say, the transients, the slice by, and the sensitivity. You will create new stuff constantly. So I hope you enjoyed that. Try it out. As I said earlier, comment below if you create anything with this technique, and if there's any questions or anything like that, drop them below and I'll answer them in a subsequent video. So hope you enjoyed, have fun with it, and see you next time.